Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Talk. I've got lots to tell you this morning. So let's start with the fact that I can now track. I now have my Fora 6 monitor. So this is especially for Canadians here because as a Canadian, I could not order from Keto Mojo directly. They have no shipping to Canada. I could not order from Amazon.ca or .com. I tried to order from, to look on .com. They're not showing me any Keto Mojo stuff. So I don't know if that's because they don't have it or if they're just not showing it to me because of where I live. So I do have a Keto Mojo, because that's the route that I thought I was going to go. And then if you recall last week, I ran out of strips, could not get any. And so now I have my Fora 6. This I ordered from within Canada. And I will put the link below. It works exactly like the Keto Mojo. Almost everything about it is the same, except that I haven't yet figured out how to calibrate it to work in the same unit of measure. It gives me my morning glucose in the Canadian measure, and I would rather just have it in the other measure so that I can pop it into my Dr. Boz spreadsheet to calculate my Dr. Boz ratio. So as it is now, I have to take the extra step to go online, convert it to the measure that she uses, and it's no big deal, but I'm sure I must be able to calibrate it. I just haven't sat down to figure it out. So this is all good. And for those of you Canadians who are interested in what I paid for it, I will tell you exactly. So $239.99, and that included 100 glucose strips and 100 ketone strips. And I believe, it included lancets as well. I just can't remember how many. Where are those? 200 lancets. So that's a lot of lancets. The control solution. There's no duty on this. There is taxes. I live in British Columbia, so I get nailed with 7% sales tax, but that's normal. GST 5%. So my entire shipping was free. My entire all-in price for all of that was $268.79. Pretty sure with all the hassles I've had with DHL, having to pay duty twice, having to order separately, the strips and all that, I'm already over that and I've got less. So I'm really happy that I decided to go this route. I only wish I'd known about it in the beginning. So, so that's that. So I have been able to track. Oh, the other thing that I really like about this, the Keto Mojo, they have those individually packaged strips, and every morning you got to tear open 2 of them. And I like that I can just reach in and grab one of these. That's easier for me. So the only other thing that I want to mention is that there is an online app for the Fora 6, and so that's great. It does not integrate or sync with Chronometer, so that's not a deal breaker for me. It was nice having all my readings in one place, but I don't think there was really any big advantage to me having it there. I open up my Dr. Boz spreadsheet every morning, which it's free. You can go and get it from her site, download it, and use it. It was free. I had to put in my email. Then the link was sent to me in my email. I downloaded it to my computer, all that other stuff. So I'll put that link down below as well. So I use that sheet for these numbers. and I'm going to actually show it to you in a moment. But everything else, I am very happy with these. And by the way, my little box of strips finally came 3 days later after my 4 is 6. So now I have lots of everything. So let's put that away. My results. So this past week, I have been following High Fat Carnivore, as I have been since November 1st. And I have been slowly upping the fat. The first couple of weeks, I kept my fat at about the 80-20, and I'm kind of trying to go a little bit higher to get my ketones higher. So my calories are way up from what I was doing before. And I was a little nervous to step on the scale this morning. I'm weighing once a week. And this morning, I had lost half a pound. Doesn't seem like much. And so since November 1st to now, which today is the 20th, I've lost 1.5 pounds. So I'm, right on track to hit my normal 3 pounds a month. And considering how much extra fat I'm eating and how many extra calories I'm eating, I'm calling this a huge win. Like, really. And my ketones are going up. So let me show you what's been happening on my chart. Oh, but first, my book also arrived. This is the Good Fat is Good for Women, Dr. Elizabeth Bright. I have started to read it. I'm hoping to finish it over this weekend, and then I can feel like I'll learn a little bit more. So here's my chart. You'll also see it up on the screen there so that you can follow along. So we're going to leave it up on the screen while I'm talking about this, because if you look at the very first line, that is my very first day calculating my Dr. Boz ratio. I was still at that point eating 2 meals a day, and take a look at that ratio, 217. My GKI, 12.08. According to what I can find on GKI online, 12 is not a good number. Even though I have 0.4 ketones there, I'm not in ketosis. I'm not in nutritional ketosis. And I want to be in nutritional ketosis, because that's where you're losing weight. And we all know how much I complain about my 3 pounds a month. And I don't know, maybe this will take some time, maybe some extra healing. I kind of think that this could be a factor in how slowly I've been losing. So I started to change things, and you can see as you go down, I'm getting, a slightly better GKI as well as the Dr. Boz ratio every day. And finally, switching to 3 meals a day. So because when I was doing 2 meals a day, of course, I was having a lot of protein at my evening meal. And switching to 3 meals a day, spreading my protein out, having a lower amount of protein, you can see my Dr. Boz ratio slowly improved. The lower the number, the better, just in case you didn't know. But you can see it slowly improving. And there on day 6, I jumped up to 1.2 ketones, blood ketones. And that was my best yet GKI and my best yet Dr. Boz ratio. And then I was out of strips. So there was a whole 10 days without measuring. But during that 10 days, I just stayed the course. I did the 3 meals. I figured out the different meats, and I figured out, how to use chronometer. That's a bit of a learning curve there. Trying to get my macros closer and closer to where I wanted them to be. And by the time I got to November 16th and I finally had some strips, and I finally was able to measure again, I had even higher ketones. Look at that blood glucose. That's not bad. I'm not diabetic or even pre-diabetic, so I'm not so worried about that number. It's my ketones I'm trying to get up. And the GKI, I was in a good state of ketosis, nutritional ketosis there, and my lowest ever Dr. Boz ratio. So then I decided to run a dairy experiment. And for the next few days, I added dairy, and you can see that little note there. Now, I don't know if it's a coincidence. I wanted to see what would happen, and it seems pretty consistent that, my GKI still in a moderate level of nutritional ketosis, so that's good. Still have better ketones than I did the first week, but you can see that they kind of dropped a bit. My blood glucose is up a bit. I'm still not bad though in there. So starting tomorrow, today's my last day with dairy. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to do 1 week with no dairy. I mean, other than the butter, I don't really consider. I know technically butter is dairy, but there's so little. I mean, it's mostly fat. It's like 85% fat. So there's very little in there that I'm worried about dairy-wise. And I was having lots of butter this first week as well. So keeping the butter, but eliminating cheese and heavy cream. I mean, those are the two things that I've been having for the last few days. So no more of that as a test. I want to see, is it a noticeable improvement next week? Next week, will I come back with higher ketones and better GKI and Dr. Boz? We shall see. So I'm finding this very informative, looking for patterns. So that's that. Put that aside for now. One of the questions that I've had a lot, both in the Facebook group as well as comments on my past few videos, is this is all great, Anita, but how do I get started? How do I know how much protein to have? How do I know how much, fat? I know you're saying 80-20, but what does that really mean? And yeah, 80-20 is the percent of calories from fat, 80%. The 20 is percent of calories from protein, 20%. I'm using Chronometer and that little pie chart to show me if I'm in that target range. But how do you start? So for me now, and I got this information by gleaning bits and pieces from several videos, as well as on Facebook, just like following different people, the people like Kelly Hogan, Steak and Butter Gal, Amber O'Hearn. Those people are all kind of working on this 80-20 thing to help people like me who are not thriving on regular carnivore. So, and what does that look like? That looks like, there are people out there, believe it or not, who can eat all the meat they want, drink water, and lose weight and get healthy. And that hasn't been the case for me lately, in the past couple of years. A few years ago, this is before menopause now. A few years ago, I did 30 days of carnivore, and I did quite well. And then at that time, I wasn't ready for it. I was like, okay, that was an interesting experiment, but yeah. And I didn't carry on with it. So, fast forward to now, I am postmenopausal. I'm losing super slow like a snail. And I'm starting to I am fitting that profile that Dr. Bright, talks about. I haven't got to that part yet in the book, but I've heard her on videos, on interviews with people, talking about women who are of a certain age and a certain history, lifelong obesity, They're not getting out. I mean, I don't go surfing. I don't go to a gym. I don't run. I don't lift weights. I want to start, I do want to start that because I hear that's really good for women my age to keep some muscle going. But, I'm kind of not that active, not active like, say, someone who's in their 20s or 30s might be, or 40s. And plus the being overweight since I was basically a toddler. Right now, I weigh less and I'm a smaller clothing size than I was since I was about 14 or 15 years old. So I am right now at my lowest, at a teenager weight back then, which is kind of incredible. But I was an overweight child. I was an overweight teenager. I've been an overweight adult my whole life, yo-yoing up and down. So for the past, 9 or 10 years, I went low carb, then keto, carnivore, keto, carnivore, ketovore, and now I'm doing this high fat carnivore because of what I've heard Dr. Bright say. And I'm very encouraged by it. I feel good on it, and I plan to continue. But to answer your question as to where to start, I made another little chart, which is also going to be up here on the screen. And this is how I started after a lot of trial and error trying to figure this out. And some of this I got from, like I said, the various interviews with Kelly Hogan. I'm going to link all this below. With Amber O'Hearn, who is just a wealth of information on this, and she also has a website with some of these things. So I kind of pieced it together to put it in one little spot to pass on to you. So first of all, find your ideal weight. So I have a link where I figured out my ideal weight. Now, I want to give you a warning though. So my ideal weight for my, height and gender and age and all that stuff turned out to be 123 pounds. Do I think I'm ever going to be 123 pounds? Probably not. But who knows? That could be my limiting beliefs, my self-limiting beliefs. I just know that after having lost over 130 pounds so far, I would probably have to have skin surgery to ever get to a weight like that, assuming I get, pretty close to my goal weight. I'm just not. Anyways, that's a whole different thing. That could be all in my head, but 123 pounds. So what I'm saying is that when you get your ideal weight, don't worry if you think it's too low for you. It doesn't matter. We're only using it as part of a calculation. It's not like you have to go there, get there, think about it. It's only for this calculation. Once you have your ideal weight, it needs to be in kilograms. So what I do is I use the Google, and you just type this in, convert 123 pounds to kilograms, and it'll give you the answer right back. And my answer was 56 kilograms. So then step 2 is to calculate 1.2 to 1.4 grams of protein per kilogram of your ideal body weight. So in this case of 123 pounds, my minimum protein for the day, or my protein for the day that I'm targeting, is between 67 grams and 78 grams per day. Step 3, you take that number and you divide by 3 or divide it by however many meals you plan to have. Keeping in mind that there's a note down here, you want to keep your protein at 30 grams per sitting so that you don't spike your blood glucose. So that was interesting for me to have to work that in as well. So in my case, I'm doing 3 meals a day, and I'm targeting between 22 and 26 grams per meal. Okay, so then I want to double or triple, between double and triple the fat grams that I'm eating at that same meal. So I started out by doubling because I didn't want to have disaster pants. It's no fun. I've had it before. The first time I tried carnivore, I had, anyways, let's not go there. So that means that if I eat 25 grams of protein at a meal, my target is between 50 and 75 grams a meal. So I've been doing, the 80-20, so doubling my fat to my protein fairly consistently for all my meals so far. And now I'm trying to push that envelope a little higher, which is pushing my calories a little bit higher. And I still lost the 0.5 pound. So I'm very encouraged by that. So my final note on this sheet is that it is very difficult to do this if you are doing OMAD, which I see I spelt wrong, but you know what it is, or 2MAD. I started out, as you saw from my Dr. Boz chart, first couple of days I was still doing 2 meals a day. And I could see that it wasn't putting me where I wanted to be. So I went to 3 meals. I was intermittent fasting. I was doing 16 to 18 hours fasting, and I've cut that back in order to accommodate for this. My last meal is usually by 5 o'clock. I measure my morning numbers at 6 a.m. and then usually by about 8 a.m. I have my first meal. So it's anywhere between 12 and 14 hours that I'm not eating. So that's kind of a fast. It's just not what, a lot of people are doing. And I'm not going to worry about it. I'm more interested in what happens with this 80-20 split out in 3 meals. I am really excited to do this next week and see where I end up. And I've already decided I'm going to keep going next month. I'm going to keep going unless and when it's clear to me that it's not making a difference. I kind of feel it's going to. I'm very encouraged by what I'm seeing so far. So I hope this helps you. If you are thinking about this, about doing this, I hope this explains how to get started. But by all means, if what you are doing works for you, nobody has to do this. I mean, I'm there because of my history, because of what's been happening. The last few months I've been working really hard. I have more weight loss to show for it. But I kept thinking, something isn't quite going on properly here, and maybe this is it. So I'm kind of excited to try this for a little bit more time, maybe a few more weeks. Maybe this will be it. That maybe this will be my way that I eat this. So, but please don't think that, this is what everybody's doing now, I'm going to do it too. If what you're doing works for you, that is great. If you are eating all the meat you want and losing weight, that is great. And, please, try to stop yourself from coming and, commenting and saying, well, eat meat, drink water, that should work for you, because it doesn't work for everybody. I know that. I have a group of over 6,000 women that are my age group that are struggling with some of these things. And some of them can eat meat and drink water, but not all of them can do that and have good weight loss. And I'm determined to figure this out for myself and possibly help others at the same time. That's kind of why I'm doing this. So I'm going to leave you for this week. I don't have pictures to show you because I just thought this video would then go too long. I'm going to link below I have 2 what I eat in a day videos from this month, and I have 2 other Tuesday talks where I show typical meals, what their macros are and their breakdown and all that. I'm going to link those below so that if you're coming to this for the first time and you have no idea what to eat, those will show you some really good examples of what you can eat and what that looks like for 80-20. So I will see you guys either next week on my next Tuesday talk, or I will see you in my next video. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you very much for watching.